YouTube, what's good, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I have a podcast episode for you today. I spoke with Salsa Tequila. We talk about his trading strategy, entering a trading competition, leaving university to trade full-time, a lot of good stories in there. But the reason this one's so exciting is because he started the Bybit trading competition, which we talk about, with $1,000 or $2,000, 0.1 or 0.2 Bitcoin in his account. He's now ran that account up to 7.5 or 8 Bitcoins. So $70,000 of profit in just a few weeks. It's an insane story. He talks about his strategy right here, his journey as a trader, all that stuff. I think you're going to learn something. I think you'll enjoy the story. It's going to be really fun to track how he does it. So with this one, we cover everything he's doing to be absolutely crushing this trading competition. I do hope he wins. If you want to get set up on Bybit as well and start trading there, they sponsor this show, and I have a special deposit bonus for listeners of the show. That link's right down below. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, smash that. Follow Salsa if you aren't already. You have to if you're a trader. And that's all I got, guys. Enjoy the show. I'll see you guys next time. Salsa, we should be live. What's going on, man?
Hey, how are you doing? Thank you for having me, and I'm doing great.
Good stuff. Well, you just got your cast off. I saw you tweet on Twitter. How did you break? You broke your arm, right? How'd that happen?
I was cycling, went downhill, fell, front flip, was probably going like 30, 40 kilometers per hour. So I took a pretty decent hit. And I hit my right hand, scaphoid fracture. So I was in a cast for the past 3 months, man.
Over the handlebars? Is that how you went down?
Yeah. Like I flipped over the handlebar, did like a kind of front flip. I was accelerating downwards. So that's why I was stuck in a cast for a couple months, which honestly, it felt like normal because I kept cycling, I kept running. You know, I could just not really train my upper body. But aside from that, like I can trade on my laptop, although it's not optimal, and I can't trade as many accounts, as many pairs. But still, I managed to trade the past 3 months and live a pretty good summer overall. So I'm pretty glad about it.
I saw you cycling still. I was gonna ask, how is it affecting your trading though? Was it your right hand or left hand? Was it your dominant?
Yeah,
I mean, that'd be tough to be
I'm
clicking.
right. Yeah, I'm right-handed, so no mouse. I got the touchpad for my computer, but I cannot trade on the computer. I use a laptop.
Yeah.
So I just open whatever I need on my computer, the tweet deck, information charts, and then I trade from my laptop. That's where I execute the trades. Because on the laptop, I had my 4 fingers, right? So I can use the mouse pad.
So the market's hot again. Now you have the cast off. You can smash market buy and sell. It's got to feel good, man.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't moved my wrist for 100 days, so I got to give it a bit of time, but it's already better. I think in a week I'll be fine. You know, when the competition begins, I'll be able to use a mouse probably. Gosh,
I haven't broken a bone probably in, oh man, it's before university, so probably like 5 or 6 years for me, and I can't even imagine what that would feel like right now. I feel like breaking a bone as you get older, I feel like it would hurt worse. Like that just sounds so fucked right now. I don't ever want to break another bone.
Yeah, it sucks in the sense that there's a lot of things that handicaps you, but
yeah,
if I was lucky because scaphoid fracture, I mean, it could have been so much worse. Like I could have literally broken my neck. I front flipped. If I did not front flip, my neck took the hit, and then that's where it could have really turned to shit. So I'm not too unhappy about it. You know, it's done, and I'm out of my cast now.
Happy to hear it, dude. What buttons are you pressing today? Are you trading today? I saw earlier today.
I did trade a bit today. I tried the long earlier, but I'm already out of it. I'm just setting some bids and waiting for the market. Maybe I'll pick some trades tomorrow, and I got my bids and offers, just waiting for the next move, and mainly in reaction mode.
Mostly based on Bitcoin being, do you view 11.8 to 11.9? You view this as swing high resistance, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think 12K is a pretty good resistance right now. I'm not sure we break it yet. So, if there's a dip to, let's say, 11.6, I want to be able to buy that. Sure. And I don't want to necessarily FOMO into 12K because I'd expect some kind of rejection. I don't think we break it, slice through like butter today. But maybe by, after test, maybe a dip, that's where I think we have more shot at it, more chances to break.
Yeah, I was surprised even that we tested 11.8 that quick. It seemed, if you would have asked me on Monday or Sunday, I would have said 10.4 before we got to 12K. And obviously it shaped up different, yesterday.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, the slow grind up without a dip is like it's weird. Like even if that is bullish,
We did get a dip yesterday night. We tapped
uh,
11.8, and then I think we flash crashed from 11.8 to 11.5,
yeah.
11.550.
But
And that's the kind of things that, like, if you look at it low time frame, if you're a bear, you had your 5 minutes of fame. And people who are bearish, I see that on Twitter a lot. People who are bearish, those crashes, from the past weeks, those crash, they tend to be retraced up. And if you're too busy posting on Twitter that your short is working out instead of taking profits, you are doing something wrong, because lately they've all been freaking retraced. So if you're in the short, you better have some bids to take cover.
that's one of the things that I think about. It's like even if price is at resistance here at 11.8, call it 12K, right? And you expect a drop, or I expect a dip, or say you're a perma bear and you think Bitcoin should be much lower. As you
Mm-hmm.
look at these drops, it's like Bitcoin during a downtrend, in 2018 or 2019, and you have those pops that last like a day or last 4 hours, and then price continues dropping for 4 days. It's like
Yeah.
if you're bearish, you have to kind of be objective and say, even if I think price is going to dip, the dips are only lasting about 2 hours. They're bought back up immediately. How much opportunity do I have there? Should I
Yeah.
be changing my view and things like
I
that? It's
think
just been wild.
I think if you're a bear that have a short position and literally like leverage short thinking we downtrend, like that would be very, very stupid, because if you're not showing bids, you're not going to catch those wicks. And the past weeks, it's literally every drop that was fast wicks that gets bought up. So I think we're kind of in the downtrend. You had those pop-ups, just like you say, the pop up and it starts retracing down. Now we have the opposite, pop down and it starts retracing up. So the optimal strategy, I think, would be not too short, or if you do, at least make sure you have some bids, because you will have very small windows of opportunity to take cover
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
if the trend continues. And you don't just gamble that the trend is over. Like you want to be smart and put the odds on your side if you're a trader, especially if playing with leverage. So that's how I would personally view it.
I like that. I like the way you worded that. And honestly, someone just commented on one of my posts. I think you've actually had some really articulate thoughts about this that I want to dive into. And as people are listening, I'm sure there's some people that are saying, "Man, these guys are talking about a $500 drop, and they're trading that, or they're talking about a dip that only lasts 1 or 2 hours." That's gambling, right? Some people would say that's gambling. How would you describe your strategy, right? Because you've made your equity curve very public. You've shown your results. I think you're one of the most transparent traders, maybe in the entire crypto Twitter. How would you describe what you're doing? Because it's not gambling, right? This isn't a coin flip. Your risk of ruin is near zero, at least from what I've seen. How would you describe what you're doing if you're playing the kind of these small time frame scalps for someone who's very unfamiliar with that approach? What's the best way to kind of describe what you're doing?
Sure. So I'm a day trader. I take multiple trades per day, and the way I view the market is in terms of, like, whenever I take a position, first of all, my entry is very important. I'm trying to get either lucky on entry, or if I'm entering more on a chasing basis, I'm looking for certain things to trigger that to give me a limited downside. So I think of the market in term of a constant dynamism, in the sense that whenever I enter a trade, my expectancy changes. Let's say I enter at 11.8 a long position, and I'm targeting $12,000, and my stop is 11.7.
Yeah.
Then that my risk reward will be 2 to 1. I'm aiming for plus $200, and my downside is $100. That said, that doesn't give you necessarily odds on your side, because maybe there's way more chances that my stop loss hits before my target. And as the market moves, my risk reward also changes. So let's say we're at 11.9, suddenly I'm risking $200 to make 100. So I always evaluate my positions whenever I'm in one. So let's say we go to 11.9 vertically, and somebody starts throwing some big offers on Binance futures, and somebody market buys into it and he puts some more, and I know that it's likely to provide a small dip, while my risk reward is technically very bad because now I'm risking 2 to make 1. I'm just going to close the whole position, because that's what I mean when I say expectancy flipped against you. There's more resistance while my risk reward is terrible. So I have to close the position, because if it dips, I don't know how deep it will go, and I'm risking more than I am aiming to make. So I'm constantly watching the market mostly. I'm not really a swing trader in the sense that some people do entry, target, stop loss, and they stick to that, and that's totally fine. They leave some bids or some offers and they let the trade run. Completely fine. If it works for you, keep at it. But if you're doing that and you know that you won't touch your parameters, then you have no business monitoring the market 24/7, because really all you're going to do is waste your time, provide yourself with some unnecessary stress, and risk doing mistakes and touching your trade when you don't intend to begin with. So I'm continually monitoring. I believe that it provides a better edge, and I'm 100% certain that there is edge in watching the market consistently. I use different tools, news. I try to have a decent news feed. I use different. I use not only just Japanese candlestick charts, but I watch a bit the order books. I watch on-chain analysis, the news, certain market statistics that I have, and I mix all that together, and I take a very discretionary approach to evaluate, first of all, if I should be in a trade, where I should be in a trade, how should I trigger it, how should I manage it.
You talking about the discretionary management, I think you actually had a discussion about this with several traders on Twitter, and it's something that I think about a lot. I actually think the topic's bigger than just trading, right? If you think about an investor, someone who just buys and holds Bitcoin, let's say they hold their crypto portfolio is made up of only Bitcoins. They're just inherently long. Their risk is 24/7 that the price could drop, right? Their risk is just their exposure. They're always long. Their risk is price risk. Versus what you have. It's funny. I always come across people that talk about trading, and they say the more trades you take, the more risk you're taking. In fact, looking at a strategy like yours, where you're moving in and out, time frames sometimes less than a day. Would you say usually less than a day?
My average holding period is probably around 3 to 4 hours.
Okay, so usually less than a day, pretty small time period. Your exposure there, right? You're not exposed to price risk 24/7. You obviously have timing risk, but I would say, if you have a system, right? I'm not talking about the people who are just gambling their whole life, their whole net worth every day. But if you have a system, your price risk and how long you're exposed to the market's actually probably less than someone that's a holder. And I would say in between both those, someone who's just holding 100% long Bitcoin versus someone who's scalping on a discretionary basis, I would say right in the middle is probably a swing trader, right? They're exposed longer than a scalper. They're exposed maybe less than someone who's exposed all the time as a holder. So I think it's like there's different ways to measure risk, right? It comes down to, go ahead.
The longer you're in the trade, the more outside factors can affect it. So that's definitely something. Let's say, I remember, I think it was a month back or 2 months back, there was someone who moved Bitcoin in like a month-old Bitcoin address from like the early, the early blocks.
Oh, yeah.
And the market tanked after that, right? And the longer you're in a trade, if you're in a trade for days, you give the market a lot more times for such news that affect the market to change conditions. So definitely the more time you're in, the more risk you take of outside factors affecting your trade. That's definitely a big part of it. But, I think it's very different in the sense that, let's say you take the investor perspective who's just net long Bitcoin. He doesn't really care about those kind of fluctuations. I am also a Bitcoin investor. I have a cold storage investment that I'm not trading with, and I have a trading stack that I trade with, right? I have the two. And from the investor perspective, I'm really not anxious about fluctuations. Like that's just my day-to-day. I know I have these, I'm holding, and it actually gives me a feeling of security in the sense that if my trading goes to shit, or if it goes up really fast and I was short, I got that moon bag that keeps me sane and, keeps me exposed because I believe in the space long term. That's the reason I've been involved for so long. I think it's here to stay, and I'm bullish long term, which is not necessary to trade it, right? But that's just my personal perspective. But investing and trading, very, very different, especially when it comes to leverage, because you literally have a position with money that you do not own. And I think, again, my opinion, when you're leverage trading, you need to use a stop loss, you need to have an invalidation plan, and you need to keep your risk very tight. When you're an investor, you don't really give a shit about that. You just hodl Bitcoin and to the moon, right? It can be 6 months, like it can fluctuate from between 8K to 12K. You don't really care about $4,000,
or
right?
3K to 12K. Who knows?
Yeah, who cares? You're just hodling. And you won't lose your Bitcoin even if it goes from 3K to 12K back to whatever.
Sure. It's just the expectation. If you're an investor, it's probably the viewpoint that in a year, in 3 years, in 5 years, it'll be much higher, right? That's the bet you're making.
Yeah, exactly. But when you're playing with margin, you mentioned swing traders. If you're a swing trader that uses leverage, I think that's also that's also kind of, I'm not going to say it's worse, but I've had, I've did swing trade. I had success swing trading, and I think it's a lot less consistent in general than my main approach, which is scalping on a day-to-day basis. Try to take advantage of the lower time frame fluctuations that I know provide me an edge, rather than keep the trade open for days and try to catch a runner.
You know what I think?
If you will.
Yeah, you know what I kind of draw a parallel to. I don't know if you've played poker. I've been playing a little bit more poker. It's almost like a tournament player versus a cash player. Like scalping almost is like playing cash just with like 10 friends. Like if you're the best guy in the room at that table, you're pretty consistently going to walk away with X amount of dollars that you won in that session. Versus if you played a tournament with like 100 random people, it's kind of like swing trading. Sure, you might be one of the better players in that room, but there's a lot of variance, with how many people are in that room, with how long the tournament takes. Even if you're the best player, there's still times you're going to lose since you're not taking that many trades, right? There's going to be months if you're a swing trader where you have
you can go dry for a long time, right?
Sure.
The biggest part of swing trading is, I think, you don't have that many trades. Like there was some months that I would get like 3 swing trades in a month. If you lose 2 of them, then you're negative for the month. Literally, like when I'm scalping, that very rarely, like that rarely happens. So it's way more consistent. I take multiple trades a day on average, whereas swing trading, you get like a few a month if you're lucky, and that's it. You don't have much to work with. You don't have a lot of statistics to make from your trading. Fast. It takes like years to maybe have an idea of how well you're doing, and maybe within years the market might change a bit. Players might it's just a lot less consistent in my perspective.
I think that's a very fair assessment. I think it's way higher variance swinging versus scalping, but as you said, I think to each their own. The reason I'm asking this is because I imagine there's a lot of people listening. One of the reasons that a lot of people are in Bitcoin obviously is to make money. There's other reasons. Some are very altruistic.
It for the tech, bro.
Yeah, some people are probably genuinely in it for the tech, but most traders that are here, it seems like, especially in this asset
they're in
class,
it for the money.
Yeah, are in it for the money. And there's quite a few people, I imagine, that are listening that you see them every single day on Twitter. And I think you've done an incredible job of kind of transparently showing you growing your account, and not in a way where you're bragging and saying this is how much money I have, but literally, as some traders kind of share this type of stuff. Some teach TA. I think one of the things that's been special with your account is you literally showed this is me trading, and as time went on, this is me growing my account, right? You're literally seeing your trading process. What's one of the things that's changed in the past 2 years for you trading as you've gotten a little bit more success with your trading, or as you've gotten very successful with a certain strategy? What's like the biggest change? Because I think that provides a lot of value to people that maybe were in your shoes 2 years ago today, right? As they try to grow an account.
The biggest change was September 2019 when I went really full time. Like I got hired by a prop shop, and I went full time trading from there. Because that's where I really started focusing on my trading. And, whenever I was in a trade, I would monitor. And I knew that I had the edge in the sense that I nailed most of my entry prior to that. I was already profitable, but a lot of chasing my tail in the sense that I would let the P&L run from wildly in profit to back against me. And I was in university back then. I was studying to get CFA finances.
Yeah.
And I did I did a year of software engineering as well. So I had but I switched to go in finances because I thought coding was better learned on the internet if I needed it.
Yeah.
But back in those days, I was trading. And let's say I would take a trade in the morning. I would monitor the market and there's my entry. I got it. Yes, it works. It goes my way. Cool. I would set a stop loss. I would go to university. And then most of the time what would happen is by the time I'm in my classes, my trade is like plus 2R. And I'm like, fuck yes. I come back home, I'm stopped out for minus 1R. So basically what that means is I didn't just lose 1R. I lost 3R because I was plus 2R in profits, right?
Yeah.
And I realized that I knew how to get a good entry, but I didn't know where to take profits, how to take profits properly, because my edge was literally live monitoring and catching something in the moment. So why would my exit be different? Why would I just let that trade run when I know that my edge is literally in the entry? I should do the same for the exit. And back in September, suddenly I stopped, I started having literally a desk job at the prop shop, and I would monitor my trades. And that's where I started seeing the huge improvement in my equity curve, because suddenly I wasn't relying on luck to just let my trades run. I was exiting the same way that I was entering. And that's where the scalping in and out multiple times a day started. I just knew when to enter, what to look for.
Yeah.
Let's say you go vertical into resistance. I knew it was a good short. Sometimes you mix a bit of statistics in that to give confluence, but I knew what I was doing suddenly, and I knew how to exit my trades, which is a big part of it. Because if you let a big unrealized P&L be lost, you just lost money. Your unrealized P&L is money, and that's where my whole scalping system became from like slightly profitable to very profitable.
Jules, how tough was the decision to leave university? I what was this, back 2 or 3 years ago? I was going to go to grad school, and I only went to school. I think I went to that grad school for about a week, and then I left to pursue trading my own book as well. How tough was it for you to make that call?
That was tough because in my family, university is a big deal. Like everybody, they're like, yeah, you need that degree, get that degree. My grandparents, my parents, it's something that we value, and I would not have taken the plunge if I did not have. First of all, I knew I was already profitable.
Yeah.
Even though not that much, I was profitable for at least a 6 months. Since late 2018 basically, and I took the plunge early 2019. I decided, and mid 2019 I went and moved out literally for the job.
Yeah.
So I had that was playing my way. I was already experienced. I had gotten wrecked for 18 months before starting to profit. So I had a background. I knew what I was doing, and I had the most important part, a financial cushion. I had funds. I could live at least 3 years on my own in a good apartment with a good lifestyle. So that was kind of where the fuck you money, if you will, like the freedom found.
Money.
I could do it, and it was not a risky play financially for me, and that was a huge deal. Not only because I could live, but because not as well as the money that I had to live, I had a fund to trade on my personal accounts. And if I lost all the money in my trading accounts, I would not be fucked, because that was excluded to the 3 years I had of living expenses. So I really had a decent financial cushion. I was lucky to have that. It was I think it was 20% of the gains I made in 2017. I cashed out. I had cashed out a decent stack. I lost most of the rest, and just the percentage I cashed out after taxes, it was big enough to secure myself for a couple of years and allow me to take the plunge with trading full time.
How was it transitioning to a trading desk? And you're still with that prop desk, right? You still kind of work with that team.
Yeah.
What's that like? Trading's a very individual.
Yeah, it is.
Thing. So what's that been like?
We share information. I trade accounts for both myself and the prop shop. I'm not really allowed to share anything from the prop shop. It's
Sure.
not mine to do. But I can tell you that much is that they're not going to tell you where to buy, where to sell, what to do. They're just going to guide you. We do stats review, which I think has tremendous value, because we're all traders in the room. And at the end of the week, we share a couple trades of everyone, that went to shit, some that went well. What could you have done better? Why did you enter? Why did you exit? And we see different mentalities, different mindset, different approaches, different mistakes to learn from, and different good moves to learn from, right? You want to learn from the good and the bad.
Sure.
And not only that, but we share information in real time. Let's say you have a different news feed than the guy next to you. When there's important information that affects the market, we tell each other. We're in a room. We're allowed to talk. So it provides an edge in that regards. We have obviously software that allows us to have news in real time. We have traders, like there's traders who trade financial market. There's traders who trade Bitcoin. Let's say a trader who trades the ES, which is SPX futures, right? Yeah. He notices that there's a correlation that starts between Bitcoin and ES. We're going to be early on that because that guy, he literally scalps the freaking ES 24/7 and he has Bitcoin next to it with bids and offer. And you realize that correlation way before people on Twitter catches up to it. So
sure.
Stuff like that. But it's really similar to trading from home in the sense that it's you and your charts. It's you who presses the button. Nobody's going to do it for you. And it's just a way better learning environment, in my opinion, especially for new traders.
How'd you get involved with that? I mean, I don't want to ask it if you can't share some of that, but like for people that kind of do think about that route, I've seen it thrown around at least. They say, should I pursue this in kind of a more professional sense? Should I pursue this as a sole venture?
Yeah, what I was going to say is I think, I spoke of financial caution. I would never have taken the plunge if I did not have a financial caution.
Yeah.
If you don't have spare money to trade from and to live off, you have a way lesser edge in the sense that if you're pressured to make money and you need to make money trading to live, you're going to have a lot of pressure on your shoulder and you might take some shit trades and have the wrong mentality.
Sure. That makes sense. I think that's actually really important to bring up.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. The last thing I add on that is never borrow money to trade. That's the worst thing you can do, to trade, to gamble, whatever you're doing. I think borrowing money for that kind of stuff is the most stupid move you can do. Just because, like before trading, I had the background is in plus EV gambling on a video game, and I've seen so many times. I even done it once, and it went to shit. Obviously, you're gonna dig a grave, and it's gonna be tough to recover from that. You just don't want to borrow money to gamble.
What game were you gambling on? I've seen you tell this. I've seen you tweet about this story before.
I'm not sure I can disclose which game because I'm not sure. It's gray zone. I don't want to risk it.
Sure.
But it was basically like a kind of betting game where you could know a bit. It's similar to trading in the sense that you knew the expectancy of a bet
of another player. Other people playing?
Yeah. It's like players versus players. And, you would bet money against other players. And I knew literally every gamble's expectancy. So I was trying to get a bit of the upper end. And, let's say the other player has more chances of winning. I would make him put, say, I would make him put more money on the line than I do in a way that gives me a decent edge, so I can profit in the long run. So that's a way to view it. But yeah, about that, I think it was, when I say don't borrow money to gamble, that's because I did that back. It's similar to trading in the sense there's a lot of psychological traps. Sometimes you would go dry for a while and you're very tempted to gamble and not necessarily always have the edge, right? Let's say you lose a lot and then you go dry for a month. You're going to be tempted to make that money back quick. And there's so many ways you can gamble easily. Like you can bet on, let's say somebody's going to take your 50 point. Let's say you have 49% odds of winning. Somebody's going to go and take the 51% odds.
Oh yeah.
And there's some casinos online that do that. I think there was a website called Prime Dice. Fuck, I lost so much on that. After I think I had the drawdown. I went dry for like 2 weeks. I got bored. I tried to make my money back, and I dig the grave on Prime Dice. It was like a 49.5% casino. And a lot of lessons came from that background before trading, because I made a shit ton of mistakes like that. Taking gambles you absolutely shouldn't, being impatient, not sticking to the grind when it matters most. Stuff like that.
Paying back any kind of debt with money that isn't guaranteed is I mean, in a sense, trading and gambling is almost like borrowing money as well. Like you have to take you're putting that money or that capital that you have also on the line. It's like you're adding an extra layer of leverage to debt.
Actually, I think it was Archer who said liquidation is a privilege. I think I've seen that somewhere on Twitter. I think I don't know who said it, but in crypto, we're lucky that we cannot go in debt.
Yeah.
Like there's some markets that if your balance goes negative, the broker can come after you and say, hey, you owe me money. In crypto, no, you get liquidated. Sure, you lose everything that's on your account, but you will not have a debt. And I am certain that so many people who would get absolutely fucked if your balance could go negative and BitMEX could go after you. But they can't. So we're lucky for that, because that would cause so much problems.
I imagine there's some people listening that just shook their head when you said liquidation is a privilege, that have some scars. They have nightmares of that email coming.
I mean, they do take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Like BitMEX, they're going to liquidate you at prices that are unfair for you. But if they did not do that, some people would get absolutely fucked. I am certain. And overall, I'm happy liquidation system exists, because thank God people cannot go in-depth margin trading crypto.
It's God, that's probably true. We would see some nasty stuff. All right.
Yeah.
Salsa, you've talked a little bit about your strategy, the journey, leaving college, to now the prop desk. And I asked you about Bitcoin earlier. One thing I've been curious about, you focus a lot of time on Bitcoin, and I do it as well. I kind of have a specific market or a specific few things that I'll focus on, mostly large cap alts. I think you've generally stayed away from alts. What's your view on that? There's investors that focus a ton of time on alts. Sometimes they literally just focus on shitcoins. How do you manage what's happening in the alt space versus Bitcoin? Do you not touch alts at all? What's kind of your thoughts on that?
I do play altcoins. I played around with Binance futures and ETH perps on Bybit.
Yeah.
So the way I view alts is I like to play them spot, because especially the illiquid ones, they have like crazy founding rates, especially in Binance futures. I think it was like I tried to trade TRX the other day, and it was like 0.2% every 8 hours that I had to pay to hold a long position. And altcoins in general, I find the risk reward way more attractive to the long side. Let's say you take a short, the maximum you can ever make is 100%. But let's say you take the long side, and we've seen altcoins do more than 100% in a day, right? So I think I'm mostly long only on those. Like if I trade altcoins, I'm going to try to be long only, unless it's ETH, where I scalp it bidirectionally. But for the illiquid ones, I did play a lot of spot altcoins. I made a good amount. Just buying stuff on Binance that looked bottomed. I didn't really care what it is. I think I played with ARC, SYS. I sold way too early, man. That thing, I bought it. It pumped like 3x. I sold. No, it pumped 2x. I sold, and then it went like 6x from there or something like that before an event, or 6x total. And those altcoins, they pump like crazy, and I just buy whatever looks bottomed when the tides are to the upside. and that's how I play them. I buy whenever they do like a 2x or whatever. If it looks like a good pump to sell, all right, I'm gonna sell here and I'm gonna reshuffle in something else. And whenever the tides start flipping, like I think when Bitcoin broke the 10.5k, I had like I think I dumped it a bit before. It was 10.3k, but I'm like, yeah, it's probably gonna break 10.5. I just dumped all my altcoins because when it's gonna break 10.5, if it's impulsive, I know that a lot of people will panic puke their altcoins, and I don't want to have a decision to make, like, do I dump after them?
Yeah.
Some people are going to be quicker than me, so I just front run that. I'm like, fuck it. I made a good amount playing altcoin spot. I dumped it all, and since then, I haven't played them that much. I think I had an initial investment on Binance, and it went plus 60% just playing spot altcoins in 2 months. But really, that's how I did it. I just buy whatever looks bottoms. When it pumps, I sell, and I reshuffle in something that hasn't pumped. And until the tides flip, general market, let's say everything tends to pump for like the past months, then I'm going to play it that way until it doesn't work or until Bitcoin hints that it's going to do a big move.
I think what you said at the very beginning, I think has always been actually a positive for alts. There's probably going to be some people that disagree. Buying altcoins and not focusing on what they do, I think has actually been kind of the right approach. With one asterisk, I think actually in this most recent cycle, we're starting to see deviations between alts that actually do have maybe some fundamental value versus ones that don't, especially in the DeFi sector. If you have someone that understands that very well, there's some alpha there.
I'll be honest, I haven't played the DeFi bubble.
Yeah.
Like I have completely missed out. And I think it was a month ago, I'm like, okay, I completely missed out. And then it kept going. And I was just like, I don't really care. I'm happy people make money, but
sure.
I don't even want in. And I still don't know exactly what the fuck that is. So yeah, but I agree that there are major trends in altcoins. It's just you gotta be early most of the time. I'm not typically a guy who likes to short them just because even if it went plus 200%, it can go plus 400%. So if you short, you're like you're probably more likely to get fucked overall.
Sure, and everything. I mean, trading's a game of playing to your strengths. So understanding that's a huge plus. So also speaking of strengths, you have assembled quite the team for this Bybit trading competition. One of the biggest trading competitions that's set to take place this year. They sponsor the show. I've been tracking this because I think it's going to be fascinating. I had Mike McDonald on the show a few weeks ago. His company is actually letting you bet on certain teams. You've assembled quite the team. I think someone that you trade with at your firm. Also, you have someone who's been on the BitMEX leaderboard. Let's talk about that. What's your team looking like?
He's got 2 BitMEX leaderboards. So that's new ROE on Twitter. So this guy is just a freaking machine scalper, man. I don't know how he does it, but he has 2 BitMEX leaderboards accounts on ROI percentage. So I think it's like a 40,000% ROI or something like that, something crazy. And he has 2 accounts on the freaking BitMEX leaderboard. And he asked me if he could join my team and be a co-captain. So of course I said yes, because we need those kind of people to win, right? It's a competition where the top 10 players in each team have their ROI put together. And the biggest ROI of the top 10 player of the team is the team that wins. I don't know if I phrased that right, but basically they take the 10 best traders in each team and they compound the ROI. So we have a pretty big team so far. I think we have like about 160 degenerates. And I think the biggest team has like 750, but the last time I think we went close to winning, or we had a shot at the beginning at least, and we had like 50 players. So right now we're already at 160. We have solid traders like New ROE. We have BitBit Crypto, which is a solid guy I trade with. Like he's literally been trading since 2007. He's a mentor to me, and a guy who works next to me at the prop shop where I work for. So I think we got a legitimate chance. I'm hoping our team will be bigger than 250 competitors, and we have a pretty solid team. I'm happy to have made a team, and I'm happy that we have co-captains.
What's what did the winning team do last year? Like, I'm curious how this plays out from just a strategy perspective, because as you said, it pays to have a big team, have people taking, I was talking to Cred about this. It's like, it almost makes sense to be taking 50x bets, having, even maybe a lot of your team get liquidated if it means that the top 10 people crushed it. Like, there's a lot of strategy involved here. What did the top team do last year? What was the winning ROE?
So I don't exactly recall, but I remember it was something stupid. Like they all had 1,000% ROI, and I think it was 2
more
weeks.
than 10x. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you have to, the minimum deposit is 0.1 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
What I'm gonna do, because it makes the most sense to me, is I'm going to deposit exactly that. I'm not gonna go above it. I'm not gonna trade a big account. I'm gonna start from 0.1, and I'm going to go for big ROI percentage, because just the fact that you can have a big ROI puts you in the game. In that, it's literally as simple as that. The winning team will have hilarious ROI percent compounded in the top 10 traders of the team. So you have to go and disregard risk management in a way, not necessarily disregard risk management for your total, trading funds, but for the account value you deposit. I think that's the way to go. Like, it's a 3 weeks competition. It's not a freaking 1 year competition. You don't have much time, and the winning team will have big ROI percentage. So that's what I'm going for. I'm going to try to stack the big ROI. You need a bit of luck. Sure, skills are involved, but whenever I see a good bet, I'll take it. I'll take it with size. And if it works, I'm going to go for that big lucky ROI, and hopefully that will work out.
Yeah, everyone's going to be making some, more so than tacking on a lot of leverage. It's like teams are actually going to have to catch kind of unique moves, right? Because if 100 or a couple hundred people are all trying to leverage up on the Bitcoin move, there's going to be some people that catch that really well on the long side and people who catch it really well on the short side. You're almost going to have to look at EOS. You're going to have to look at some ETH plays. It's like you're literally going to have to identify the biggest mover.
I think it's only Bitcoin, though. The competition.
Oh, is it just Bitcoin?
Yeah, it's just Bitcoin. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, that's going to be fun to watch. God, speaking of crazy bets, because that's going to bring on a lot of risk. When I was out in Singapore, I visited Bybit's office. I wanted to meet the team. They've sponsored the podcast, and generally, if I'm trading somewhere or if a lot of people are trading somewhere, I want to know what's going on at that exchange. So I met the team and hung out with them for a week. One of the funniest bets I made there, I don't want to dox him, but I think he works as a developer. Let's just say he works at Bybit. One of the funniest bets I took was, turnip?
Yeah.
Okay, so he made a bet because we were talking about traders that trade on Bybit, and we were comparing versus BitMEX, and we were talking about who's going to switch to Bybit and all these different things. And we knew that you traded on Bybit, right? You've been pretty public about really liking Bybit's platform. And what did he say? He said, I think Salsa is turnip. And I said, Salsa's not turnip. And he was convinced. He said, yeah, I'll bet you, half a Bitcoin. And I was like, dude, there is no way. Have you heard his accent?
I hope you made half a Bitcoin on that, because I'm not turnip.
Well, now I'm going to find out. Where's your accent from without doxing yourself?
So I'm Canadian.
Okay.
I have friends in Canada who speaks French. So I'm like a French Canadian. I speak English as well. So English and French. That's a French accent.
Okay, so I'm going to use this clip as proof. You are not turnip. You're French Canadian.
I am not turnip short life. No.
I was trying to tell him that. I said, man, this is the easiest Bitcoin I'm going to make in my entire life. He said, no way, dude. He said, I think they're the same person. I said, there's no fucking way.
Free money, man.
Free Bitcoin right there. Anyways, for people that do want to track your team, I know you've tweeted about it. What's your team name, though, for traders or people? As I said, I had Mike on the show. Pretty wild way that people are going to get involved in this is you don't even have to trade. You can literally bet on the team that you think will do the best. What's your team called?
Jalapeno.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
So Team Jalapeno, if you do want to track this team, obviously you tweeted about it. That's going to be a wild competition to watch, man. Thanks a ton for coming on, Salsa.
Well, thanks for having me.
Of course, man. Talking about the journey, talking about this trading competition, and we'll see how this 11.9 12K resistance plays out. You think we break it this week?
Not today. I'm not sure. I think 12K is going to be a tough level.
Yeah.
Like there's going to be a resistance there. I'm trying to catch a dip deeper. I think it's going to break eventually. I just don't know how and when. So my strategy is to take profits before 12K, at least for the first test, and see how it goes from there. And, I'm not in a position right now. We're 11.9-ish. So I'm not in a position. I'm just waiting to see what happens, trying to catch a dip maybe to 11.6, something like that. And, sell before the 12K, because I don't know if we're going to break it the first test.
I think that's a very rational approach. Well, good luck on healing the wrist. Good luck in the trading competition, and
Thanks, man.
I'll let you get back to trading, man.
All right. Have a good day, man.
Yeah, you too. Appreciate you coming on.
See you.